You know that fiery kick you get from a chili pepper? That little bit of heat that makes you go, whoa. Well, that all comes from a single chemical called capsaicin. We see it everywhere, from our favorite hot sauces to even pain relief creams. But here's the big question. Is this stuff a miracle cure for our hearts, or is it a hidden danger? That's the paradox we're going to break down today.
So a while back, you started seeing headlines just like this one popping up all over the place. It was all based on this one study. And boy, was it a bold claim. It seriously suggested that the secret to a healthy heart might just be hiding in your pantry.
I mean, it's an amazing thought, isn't it? The idea that a simple, common spice could be this incredible cure. But as you're about to find out, the real story of capsaicin in your heart, well, it's a whole lot more complicated and, honestly, a bit more dangerous than you'd ever guess.
Okay, so first, let's talk about the good stuff, the promise. For years, scientists have been looking at chili peppers and finding some pretty incredible potential benefits. And it's all thanks to capsaicin and its chemical relatives, this whole family of compounds they call capsaicinoids.
Researchers have really zeroed in on 3 huge ways capsaicin seems to help our hearts. First, it looks like it can lower your LDL, the bad cholesterol. Second, it helps relax your blood vessels, which is fantastic for blood flow. And third, it might even help fight off the formation of dangerous blood clots. Pretty impressive, right?
Now, the study that got everyone so excited was actually done on hamsters. So picture this. Scientists fed these little guys a diet that was super high in cholesterol. But they gave one group a dose of capsaicinoids along with it. And the results? They were actually striking. The hamsters getting the spicy stuff had way lower levels of bad cholesterol and fewer signs of that nasty plaque building up in their arteries. So you're probably wondering, how in the world does it do all that? Well, the researchers found it was kind of like a 3-pronged attack. First, it helps the body stop accumulating so much cholesterol. Then, it ramps up the process of breaking that cholesterol down and getting it out of the body. But the real game changer was this third step. They found it actually blocks a gene that tells your arteries to tighten up. And relaxed arteries mean better blood flow. That's a huge win.
So let's recap. Lower cholesterol, better blood flow, fewer clots. Based on all this, you'd think, okay, sign me up. I'm putting chili on everything. The evidence seems overwhelmingly positive. It all sounds almost too good to be true.
And this is where the story takes a really sharp, really unexpected turn. Because while some studies were singing capsaicin's praises, a completely different medical report came out that told a terrifyingly different story. A 25-year-old man, perfectly healthy, no health problems at all, had a massive heart attack. And the suspected cause? Over-the-counter cayenne pepper pills he'd been taking to lose weight.
This single case just flips the whole narrative on its head. It's shocking. How could a compound that's supposedly good for your heart cause something so catastrophic in a young, healthy person?
And it's the details of this case that are so alarming. This wasn't someone with a pre-existing condition. He had zero, and I mean zero, traditional risk factors for heart disease. He wasn't a smoker, he didn't do drugs, he just started taking these cayenne pepper pills, and only 5 days later, he's in the emergency room, clutching his chest in agony.
Now, the doctors realized this wasn't your typical heart attack, the kind caused by plaque buildup. They diagnosed him with something called a coronary vasospasm. The easiest way to think about it is that the muscles in the wall of his artery literally just squeezed shut, like a vice grip, choking off all the blood flow to his heart.
And here's where the mystery really gets deep. The doctors did an angiogram to look inside his arteries, expecting to see a blockage. But what did they find? Nothing. His arteries were perfectly clear. No plaque, no blockages, nothing. The only thing left to blame was the super high dose of capsaicin from those pills. They were convinced it's what triggered that life-threatening spasm.
So that brings us right back to the paradox, doesn't it? We have one study telling us capsaicin relaxes blood vessels, and then we have a terrifying medical report showing it can cause them to violently constrict. How can both of these things possibly be true? Well, the answer is hidden deep inside our own cells. To solve this entire puzzle, we have to meet the star of the show, this tiny little protein that sits on the surface of our cells. It's called the TRPV1 channel. Just think of it as your body's heat switch. It's the little sensor that tells your brain, hey, this is hot. It doesn't care if that heat is from a hot stove or from a ghost pepper. And what's crucial here is that this little channel is basically the body's official capsaicin receptor.
And this is what that little heat switch actually looks like. I mean, you don't have to be a biologist to see how complex this thing is. This amazing little protein just sits there in our cell membranes, acting like a gate. When capsaicin comes along, it's like a key that unlocks the gate,
letting all these charged particles rush into the cell and fire off a signal.
So, believe it or not, the entire mystery, all the good stuff and all the scary stuff about capsaicin, it all comes down to understanding how this one single channel works in different parts of our body.
See, it turns out that what happens when you flip this heat switch depends completely on where in the body that switch is located. It's a classic case of biological real estate. It's all about location, location, location.
All right, let's just lay out the paradox plain and simple. On one side, you've got the claim that it relaxes blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. Awesome. On the other side, you have cold hard evidence that it can cause a terrifying artery spasm and trigger an adrenaline-like response. These are total opposites, caused by the exact same chemical.
And this is how we solve it. It's all about where that heat switch gets flipped. See, when capsaicin hits these channels on our nerves, the nerves send out a system-wide relax signal that tells blood vessels to open up. That's the heart-healthy effect we want. But, and this is the crucial part, scientists found those exact same channels exist directly on the muscle cells of our arteries. So when a super high concentrated dose from something like a pill hits those channels directly, it skips the nerves and gives the muscle a direct command to contract. And that's what causes the dangerous spasm.
So, we've looked at the amazing promise, the scary peril, and the deep science behind it all. What's the final verdict on capsaicin? What should we take away from all this?
You know, I think the lead researcher from that very first hamster study, Dr. Zhen-Yu Chen, really said it best. His advice wasn't to go out and start chugging hot sauce. He made it super clear, a good diet is all about balance. A chili pepper can be a healthy part of that, but it is absolutely no substitute for proven, life-saving medicine.
And that really leaves us with one last, big question to think about. This whole story shows us how a simple, natural compound from our food can act like a really powerful drug, with completely different effects depending on the dose. It's a huge reminder that natural doesn't automatically mean safe, especially when you concentrate it in a pill. It makes you ask, where do you draw that line?